Hello, Degens. I am AJ. This is my co host, Noah. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. Please like, share, and subscribe this video. It really does help us out. Listen to us on the go on Spotify. And please follow myself and Noah on Twitter. Myself at Brofict1. Noah at Engelbrinson. Sorry about that, Noah. And so let's just jump right into it. We got the Olympics going on. Let's talk about the U.S. women's basketball team because they have been destroying it lately. I only got to see the highlights. You got to watch the game. What did you think of it?
Yeah, a little scary at first. Not gonna lie, they were I think down 25-20 at the end of the first quarter, and all that was running through my mind was, "Uh-oh." Heading down the same track as the men's basketball. Then they, I don't know, they busted off some like 30-5 run after that, and ended up kind of letting the lead slip a little there at the end of the fourth quarter, and ended up being about a 10-point game. And I don't know if that's cause to be worried at all. I think Nigeria's women's team is just they look pretty legit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They looked really good, but I think the U.S. women's team did what the men's team couldn't do, and that's show that we are basketball. We own this sport, and we're the ones that are going to win this gold. I really think after this performance, even though falling behind a little bit, I think they're still going to go strong ahead and bring home the gold, baby. Let's go.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts on them? Any thoughts on the next game or anything besides the fact that we're going to win by 10, 15 points?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure who we're playing next. I think that game's in like a day or two,
Yeah,
but I got faith in our ladies. We're gonna, you know, they're the best.
absolutely. All our women's teams
Complete
have been
dominance.
absolutely amazing in the Olympics. I got to watch the volleyball team earlier today just show China how it's done. It was beautiful. 0-3 in the sets. It was wonderful. Um, anyway, going
Yeah,
on
hey, on
to,
that,
sorry, go ahead.
shout out Jordan Thompson. She actually she went to the
Dude,
same high school that I did.
did you really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy, man.
One year, I think 1 year before me, 1 year older.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, I was because I was watching that and I'm like that name and face sounds so familiar. I couldn't put my finger on it, so I looked her up and I'm like, oh, that perfect sense. It's
Oh,
totally
that's
where I
so
know her
cool.
from.
Well, shout out to her. She was an absolute beast. Like every other ball in the
Monster,
third, in like the last
monster.
set, just it was wonderful. She's a beast. Can't wait to see what else she can do in this Olympic Games. Speaking about another amazing woman in the Olympics, kind of a interesting subject. Simone Biles pulled out of the team um, finals today, stating mental health and everything like that. Honestly, on my end, props to her for being such a good teammate to know that mentally she wasn't there. She wasn't going to do the best that she can do and letting the ladies that were ready and focused like go into there. I really hope that everything's okay with her. And I can't wait to see her compete in the rest of the Olympics. Hopefully she'll be okay and bring home a bunch more golds and we get to do the thing that she loves and is amazing at.
Yeah, I mean that was an interesting development watching it go on. You wondered if maybe she was injured. It's kind of confusing. She came off the vault there and then went out and left and then came back and was like, what's going on? What's going on? Didn't really know until after the competition was over. But I hope she's doing well, and uh, I'd love to see her compete in those individual events where you have to see if she's going to or not. But totally understandable if she does not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could not. We talked about it the last time, like with what these athletes are going through at our age. Like as she said in an interview earlier today, she has the weight of the world on her shoulders. I couldn't imagine what that feels like. You know what I mean? I'm 24 and I feel like every other problem, the weight of the world's on my shoulders. Like being in the Olympics representing our country, I couldn't imagine what that feels like. And she's handled it with such grace and poise, like from such a young age. It's amazing that she's still doing that to this day, even though she did have to withdraw from an event.
Yeah, well, especially her caliber. I mean, everybody just constantly talking about you about the great, being the greatest of all time, greatest gymnast of all time. And, you just, if you're having an off day, like, just everybody's expecting her to get gold. So if she doesn't, there's like, even if she gets a silver medal, there's some looming sense of disappointment there for being, second best in the world in that given day, that given competition. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, from us to her, hope everything is okay. Really hope to see her compete for the rest of the Olympics and do what she does best. But obviously, she needs to be okay first before she can back out there. Um, Going to something I just find mind blowing about the Olympics. U.S. men's basketball obviously lost to France the other day, and now they're going into Iran. I'm not into Iran, but they're playing Iran, and they Noah
They're traveling to Iran.
detour in the Olympic Games. It'd be a rough plane ride right now. But so they are a 41 and a half point favorite. How? They're money line. Money line. If you wanted to take them, money line, just in case. Minus 9,000. So go have some fun with that if you really want to, I guess. But no, how are the books not scared of what they're doing? Because they did not look good against France whatsoever. Like, even when they had the lead, they just didn't look like a good team. And now we're coming in. I get it. Iran isn't known as a basketball country whatsoever, but still, neither is France. And so we're coming in here. Iran is plus 3,000 money line. Like, what are we looking at here? What do the books see that I don't?
AJ, I think it's just on this one, just sheer and utter skill gap. It's the same thing if you just took a you know, random team of, the best college basketball players from picked and pulled guys who had never played together, put them on a team and told them to go play some high school JV squad. It does not matter if you have team chemistry or anything. When you have this big of a skill gap, everybody will score. Our, our bench, even if you go past the first subs and go to the reserve players down, way down on the bench, they are still going to be better than Iran's starters. So, I get where they're coming from. I think 41 and a half,
Dude, that's a lot
it
of
would make
points.
me nervous to bet on it. It's just that
Yeah.
high. Do I think we can cover that? Yes. Do I think we will? I don't know. We might, maybe we might not. But I wouldn't be surprised if 7 or 8 guys on the U.S. team are in double figures. It's gonna be
Yeah,
a lot of
absolutely. Totally.
sharing the love.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a blowout. Is it going to be a 41 and a half point blowout? Probably not. I mean,
Could.
regardless of the skill gap, we just weren't making shots. And if you can't make shots, you can't cover 41 and a half points. And so that's what it comes down to. Regardless of defense, you have to make shots. And they had a bunch of open shots against France, and they were just missing them. Brick, brick, brick. You could build a goddamn house, like you said.
The difference is when you get the like all the steals and blocks, and then the offensive rebounds are going to be a huge difference. Even if we're missing
Yeah.
shots, I think our rebounding over them will probably just be just tremendous. I think we're probably way more athletic, way stronger, and I think that'll come through on the offensive boards, even if we are missing shots. And who knows, maybe we'll turn it around and just be shooting 40, 50% from three. And if we do that, then uh, yeah, good riddance,
40, fifty
Iran.
percent
See you
from
later.
three, dude. We couldn't touch the 3 point line. Like, it was a miracle that it was as close as it was. Truly, like, the guys that were forcing it in were truly doing that, forcing it in, and that's not a good strategy going into the rest of this tournament, and it's not going to pay off. So we need to get some drives down low. We need to establish our quote unquote big men that we have, and yeah, I don't know what Pop's doing, but Pop, we need to step it up.
Well, tonight will be a great opportunity because they should view it as a tune-up game.
Yeah.
Throw out a bunch of different combinations of players, find out who's got the best chemistry together, find out what works so that when we do move on out of this group play and we have to play other teams that are good, then we'll actually be able to, have our shit together and be running an offense. I thought in the France game, we were, we were playing really well, and we were down like 6 and then went up like 9 when we were just running a bunch of transition ball and getting out in transition and, getting to the rim. And when we revert back to all this, just shooting, if the shots aren't going, then you're not getting any points.
True, true, but I do think we'll win the game. 41.5 is a lot. I would stay away from that line. Um, Anything
So,
else on the Olympics,
what do you
Noah?
think? What do you think we'll win by? What's your prediction?
I think I think
Give me a
25-30.
number.
If the line was at 25-30 points, I would think about it. Like, I think 25-30 points is a reasonable number. I think 41.5 is just so high. You know what I mean? Like, and especially the way we've been playing and everything, chemistry is off. I don't like 41.5. You talk to me at 25-30, I'll take 25-30. I'll take those points. They'll cover that no problem. What would you take it at?
Uh, I'm staying off it at 41 and a half, but
Well, yeah.
I think 30, 34, 35 is probably
Ooh,
the highest I'd go taking them to cover. Um,
well,
Unfortunately, I do not have any faith in Iran, so I will not be betting them to cover either. It's
yeah.
that's what I'm tempted out of the 41 and a half number. I'm tempted to take Iran to cover, but I'm just in the back of my mind, it's just screaming terrible idea, terrible
Yeah.
idea.
Because once you pull, because you think they might cover 40. They might score that extra basket so they only lose by 40 points. But, that's when we're going to make that clutch three for no effing reason. And we're going to be up 42. But yeah, that's a rough
One
bet.
thing to watch tonight, a number that I do love with that game is the over. I think it's like 164, maybe 164, 165. U.S. Olympic record for most points in an Olympic game is 156. I think that was back in 2012. Put that number on watch tonight.
Okay. I definitely will. That'll
If
be something to talk about next
here's
time.
the big if our shooting woes from last game don't continue into this one, watch out. Watch out. We could be putting up, I don't think 156, but I watch out for us to put up maybe 130, 140 if we're shooting well.
Hey, let's hope so. I'm all for high scoring games, especially when it's our team going for it. So off topic, but Noah, I noticed you are wearing our alma mater logo. U of A, go head, bear down.
Bear down,
Interesting
baby.
news out of Tucson today. Dave Portnoy, El Presidente from Barstool, decided to visit down there and announced that the Arizona Bowl on New Year's Eve will now be the Barstool Arizona Bowl. Noah, why am I beyond excited about this? Why is this about to be bigger than the Fiesta Bowl? Honestly, maybe bigger than the national championship itself. This bowl, I think, is about to be huge. It's about to blow up. It's about to be a not miss event. Um, why did Dave Portnoy get it right with choosing Tucson? And why is this one of the best moves made in sport in a long time?
Yeah, I mean, you say competing with the Fiesta Bowl or the national championship, it won't be on that level because it's still gonna be the Mountain West against the MAC. So
Hey, hey,
you,
I
there's
love me some
there's a
action, bro.
ceiling
I'm
for
all about me some action.
you know I love some action. Mountain West's really exciting too, but with those two conferences, there is a ceiling. You can only get to a certain point. I mean, I think it will definitely improve the bowl based on. I mean, it's been jumping around the last few years. I think it's most recently it was. I don't even remember what it was.
I think, honest to
There was
God,
like
want to say like the last company that sponsored it had Sun
I think it was
in the
Capital One
name of it.
maybe
Was it the
or
Capital
something.
One?
I don't know.
The Capital One sponsors
No,
everything
I
though, so
don't.
it might have been. Huh. And maybe I
Uh,
think I want to say it was like the Sun Chip Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, it was something weird. I think Capital One doesn't sound right. That sounds
No, not Capital One.
like I said, it's been bouncing around a lot. It was at one point the Offer Pad Arizona Bowl. I don't even know what
Yeah, it
Offer Pad
was.
is.
It has to be some credit card
Oh,
company
no,
thing
Nova
or
Nova Home
whatever.
Loans. That was what it was for like
Nova
the
Home,
last couple of
yeah,
years.
yeah. Hey, they had a good run. They had a good run. Good, give it up for them. Nova Home Loans, that bowl. I mean, I almost went to the game a couple times, but I realized I didn't want to be in Tucson on New Year's Eve, so didn't do that. But
Yeah, I will say like the teams won't be as big of a draw, but I think a lot of the other stuff that Barstool is going to end up
oh
doing
yeah,
with this is gonna make it so that people are tuning in. People are gonna like people who don't care about the MAC or the Mountain West are gonna be tuning into this because the Barstool brand. And
oh absolutely.
you
And think
know,
about it.
I I think it's
Go.
great recognition for Arizona too, because the more people that are tuning in, the more kids that are tuning in, are going to see that Arizona stadium, that A on the field, that might pique some interest.
Hey, maybe we get a couple
Bam.
5-star quarterbacks coming through, please and thank you, so that our football team can be something except a
Uh,
punching bag. Jesus Christ. Like, it's
keep
disgusting,
dreaming with
dude.
those 5-star quarterbacks, buddy.
I will. I will. Those will be dreams. But let's talk about a 5-star quarterback who, well, Noah, let's start it off because I owe you. You were right. I was wrong. Aaron Rodgers is back with the Packers. He arrived to training camp in style, looking like the MVP of the league. This man looked majestic. He looked like he's ready to throw for 5,000 yards and just 1,000 touchdowns and whatever. Aaron Rodgers is back with the Packers. They are officially the favorite now to win the NFC North at minus 114. Noah, how excited are you that it's officially dead and Schefter was dead wrong about all of this?
Honestly, slightly. Can't say I'm super excited just because I knew this was happening the entire time. There's never a doubt after draft day. I knew this was happening. And I guess I'm more excited that I was right about it than the actual outcome of it, if I'm being completely honest.
Hey,
And
fair
for
enough.
those
I
of you
mean,
who
you
don't
were
know, AJ talking
good.
about Rodgers showing up. He had his sunnies on, hair slicked back, some cheesy office t-shirt, gym shorts, and flip-flops. That
Aaron
is what he
Rodgers looked
showed up
amazing.
in.
And not just any sunglasses, like they were some pit vipers. Like he was ready to
Oh
just
yeah.
sling some balls,
But
dude.
like not on brand pit vipers.
Oh no, he got those off brands because why would he?
They were
I
like
mean, he probably,
they were like Fernando Tatis sunglasses, the
but
like
hey, he looked
massive with
great.
the reflective like orange.
Yeah. Oh man, don't get me wrong. Besides the fact that Rodgers is going to play good this year, I think his style this year is going to be something else. I love the office shirt. Shout out to Kevin Malone spilling the chili that probably tastes amazing, but we will never know. Um, but besides how great he looked, a lot of talks coming in that this is going to be his last season. This is the last dance coming up with Devonte Adams. Um, let's say they don't win the Super Bowl, but they go to the NFC Championship again. Is he gone?
Rodgers or
Yeah, both
Adams?
of them. Because I think one of them goes, one of them leaves, both of
Or
them leaves. Or I'm sorry, excuse me. If Roger
um,
leaves, Devonte Adams leaves.
Rodgers will be gone no matter what. Even winning a Super Bowl, he's the combination of his ego, competitiveness, like all this other stuff. He will he will go out and win the Super Bowl, win Super Bowl MVP, and then say, "Fuck you guys, I'm still leaving."
Wow.
That is just Aaron Rodgers for you, and that's his personality. He's such a petty person. I get the vibe that he's such a petty person that he will like this. He'll have the best season of his career, win another MVP, win Super Bowl MVP, bring home a Super Bowl, and then he will still say, "Trade me."
Okay, so no, I'm going to stop you right there. I really, I have so shout out to the Pat McAfee show because last season they had a segment called Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays where he came on the show and he talked and stuff. It might have been an act and everything, but if I was to compare Aaron Rodgers as a personality to anyone, it would be the dude from the Big Lebowski. Like that, he was just such a chill guy. His interviews were so chill. Don't get me wrong, business is business. You got to be petty on the stuff. I think the front office has treated him like shit for the last couple of years, and I think he was fed up with it, and I can't really blame him for that. Um, I don't think it was a question that he didn't want to stay. He wanted to stay with the Packers. He's talked about wanting to retire them with them. Sorry, um, and so this whole pettiness and everything, like I think if he wins a Super Bowl and they treat him right this season, they don't cut his favorite quarterback coach. They don't bring in some head coach that he's got to have to work with and not have a conversation with. They don't draft his replacement out of nowhere. I mean, I think they treat him right this season. They win a Super Bowl. I think it's a different conversation coming March.
What you're missing is, even though he's from California, he has perfected the Midwest passive aggressiveness, where he's not ever saying exactly what's on his mind. He's just playing that passive aggressive card routinely. I am telling you, this man is petty, and he holds grudges like no other. And he has a grudge against the Packers. He's playing ball right now because he has no other options. But as soon as the season's over, regardless of outcome, he's still going to want to be traded.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think in the back of his head, he'll want to be traded. But let's say the Packers can do what the Buccaneers did. Let's say the Packers win the Super Bowl and then they bring back everybody. Or let's say they bring back 20 of the 22 starters. They do something amazing like that. How is Rodgers not going to come back to that? You know what I mean? How is he going to leave that? Like, you can be petty and everything, but it's, listen, at the end of the day, he's a competitor. He wants to be at the top of the game. If he goes to Denver next year, there's no chance he's winning a Super Bowl. There's not. I didn't get any of the hype of him going to Denver and making them into a Super Bowl contender. That just wasn't going to happen. Denver is just not a good team. That defense is too much of a mess for even if the offense is good. I mean, that offense would have to put up 50 points a game in order to cover for what the defense would do. Would do.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there. Denver's defense is pretty solid. They got one of the best secondaries. They got some spots they could use some improvement at, like linebacker, but their defensive line, I think their pass rush is pretty decent. They got a pretty decent defense, pretty comparable to Green Bay, I would say.
Fine, but regardless, being in a division with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, that doesn't help whatsoever. You're going to get carved up twice a
Only got
year,
to play them
regardless of how
twice.
good your defense is.
I mean, Packers are playing the Chiefs this year. You only got to play them twice.
True. I think that'll be an excellent game, especially with Rodgers coming here being in peak form. That'll be amazing. Uh, Speaking of the
And
Packers
that'll be one
schedule,
of his best.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that'll be one of Rodgers' best games of the season too. You watch, like I said, he's probably hates the comparisons that Mahomes is better than Rodgers already, so he's gonna put on a show. He's gonna put on a show in that game.
Oh, he definitely will. But I mean, they're close. Mahomes and Rodgers, they're close.
I'm not saying Mahomes isn't better than Rodgers. I'm just saying I think Rodgers is the type of guy that he hates the fact that people are saying Mahomes is better than him,
Yeah. Oh, he's one of the most
and he's
competitive
going to
people
make
out
it a
there.
point to prove that.
Yeah, absolutely. As I would. I mean, yeah, if I was the best at what I was doing and I was the MVP at what I was doing and I'm still hearing talk about someone else and they're better than me, yeah, F that. Yeah, they're gonna go. Are they there or yeah, they're at Chiefs. So
Yeah,
that'll be a
probably
tough environment to
in
play
my
in,
opinion,
especially with
probably
stadiums being back at 100%.
not that I've played at any stadiums, so I can't speak from experience, but it seems like Arrowhead's one of the toughest stadiums in the NFL to play at.
Hmm.
That's a tough away stadium.
Oh yeah, and every player that I've ever heard talk about it has never enjoyed their time there unless they played for the Chiefs. You know.
Well, they got the sound record.
They do.
Seattle tries to brag about it. because Seattle's average is higher or whatever, or something. I don't know. But Kansas City, a couple of years ago, routed uh, when they routed New England 41-14 with Tom Brady playing for them, they set the decibel record then.
And as they should have. I mean,
And that was
that
Alex
was
Smith. This was before Mahomes too.
yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, Alex Smith, great quarterback, but I don't know if he should have beat that Patriots team really. But along with Rodgers
Wow.
coming back to the
Yeah.
Packers, we got someone else coming back to the Packers too. And I know it sounds like we talk a lot of Packers talk on this show, but this is a lot of what's going on in the NFL right now. Randall Cobb back to the Pack. How excited are you? Because as a Bears fan, I hate this. I've hated every move that the Pack has made today, and it really makes me just wish that Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace would take a hike at this point.
Yeah, I don't really care about that too much. I mean, when Randall Cobb was with the Packers before, my opinion on him always was that he produced. There's no doubt about that. But I always felt like he was easily replaceable. Like his skill sets, middle of the road as far as NFL receivers go. And I was saying this for years, and we signed him to a big ass contract extension to like 3 years before we ended up, not signing him again. And I was pretty upset about that because I was hoping we would have spent that money on somebody else who could have made more of a difference. Because one of the things with Aaron Rodgers is he's so good. He doesn't need big receiving weapons. He's still going to
No,
make it work. And I felt like Cobb didn't deserve that kind of money. However, at this point, I don't care. I'm actually kind of in favor of it because I'm assuming he's a low ticket price. We should find out the official trade details tomorrow, and it should be finalized tomorrow or the next day. I mean, if they're only giving up a third or a fourth round draft pick for Randall Cobb, I don't care. Power to him. The big part of this is I think this was a big contingency that Rodgers wanted.
oh yeah,
And um, they're talking about all these concessions the Packers are making. If this is one of them, if they're only trading like a fourth round draft pick for him, that's not even a concession.
oh
Like, who
no,
cares?
it was like they were thinking
And
about it probably, and this just made them do it. Because Randall Cobb being
yeah, the
out
only,
there, especially after the Bears. So this, let's talk about this too. The Bears helped this trade. They did because we send some receiver down to um, the Texans who's cheap, and then that contract with them is just way too big because of how crappy that organization is ran. And so they send Randall Cobb back up to the Packers, and so somehow, the Bears screw themselves and help out the Packers without trying to help out the Packers. The Bears suck, dude.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly about that. Um, like I said, I'm trying to look right now and see if there's any details. He is an expensive ass signing though. I
He
don't like
is.
his
He
current
is.
contract. So
But I
my
mean, that's
my big
why
thing
the
is,
Texans had to move him. That's why that trade helped the Texans to move him because they had no problem moving him after they had a receiver to replace him, especially at a cheaper
well,
contract.
so now that I look at that, I do think the Packers will be giving up a little bit more in this trade than just like a third or fourth round draft pick, because I think they're going to need to sweeten the deal so that the Texans hold on to a chunk of Randall Cobb's contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise, Randall Cobb being an 8 or 9 million cap hit, the Packers only have about 5 million in cap space right now, and trying to work out a deal to sign Devontae Adams, which is only possible with the amount of money he's asking, with the way that we kind of restructure Aaron's a little bit, which hasn't officially happened yet. So they need to restructure Aaron's. That'll open up a little so they can re-sign Devontae, but bringing in Cobb might make it so we can't re-sign Devontae, and then I'm kind of pissed about that.
Yeah, no, I would be too. But if this is a last dance scenario, I love this decision. If we are only going to have Devonte Adams for one more season, if we're only going to have Aaron Rodgers for one more season, let's go. Let's get Randall Cobb in here. Let's make Aaron Rodgers happy. Let's spread the ball around. I think this is a great decision overall, especially if this is a last dance season.
Yeah, I mean, it's given the nature of what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, I would agree it's win this year or don't, and then you got to find a new quarterback and recover and rebuild and stuff. Well, not
Well,
really
you have a quarterback. You have
rebuild.
Jordan Love.
The roster is still good enough that it's not going to be like the Packers are just going to be shit all of a sudden with Rodgers leaving. But
Fair enough. Well,
with
with all
like
that
this
Packers
will,
talk, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say this will likely be the last season with like legitimate Super Bowl aspirations for
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
least
And
like
they definitely
next few
have the
years.
Super Bowl aspirations, and they're going to be really good this year. And with that, let's go into how they will stack against the rest of the NFC North. Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. Packers schedule, looking at it right now, there's not a lot of games I'm concerned about. The Steelers, I think the Steelers might be a challenge in week two, just because, I'm sorry, excuse me, that's week four. Um, but besides that, like the first 5 weeks, I mean, you have the Saints who we really don't know who they are, the Lions who are the Lions, the Niners who they don't have a quarterback, so that's not going to matter. The Steelers are going to be an interesting team, and then they play the Bengals in week five. And let's be real, no matter how good Joe Burrow is, the pack is just going to stomp all over them. What do you think about the opening 5 games, and how do you think they're going to do this season?
I wouldn't write the Saints one in the book yet. Like, if Jameis comes out and plays the way that he can, especially with his new eyes that he has now, hasn't got. We haven't really seen him test that out, other than that, that one play that he was in against the Buccaneers in that playoff game where he threw that monster touchdown shot.
Yeah,
That's
but
about
he had
all
to.
we've seen of. Haven't seen a whole lot of Jameis in that Saints system, especially with now a whole year and a full off season to get that system. Sean McVay in there. I would look for the Saints to actually have a decent year, so that game makes me a little nervous.
Whoa,
Niners and
Michael Thomas is
Steelers.
going to be out for the first 5 weeks. That's why I think this is a win. I think Michael Thomas being injured is going to be such a bigger hit to the Saints offense than anyone else realizes. I think he is crucial. I really don't see the Saints
Yeah.
doing a lot.
But for as far as the rest of those first five, the Niners and the Steelers won't be a cakewalk, but I think the Lions and the Bengals should be probably pretty. I mean, no win is easy in the NFL. It's a
True.
pretty tough league,
So
but
this is the first
I would
season with
say
17 games. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
would. Oh, I was going to say, but I would say I think the Packers should pretty handily win that Lions and Bengals game.
Oh, pretty easily, absolutely. So with this being the first 17 game season, what do you think the Packers' record is going to be at the end of the season? I mean, obviously they're going to make the playoffs, but I believe the line for their over under on games winning is 9.5, right? Maybe 10.
Yeah, it jumped up to like 10, 10 and a half after Rodgers. I'm surprised it didn't jump up more, to be honest, but I would slam that over. I mean, I
Oh,
know
slam the
we
over.
took them at 9.5. I'm loving that bet. I think by week one they're going to be up to like 11 or 12 for the over under.
Oh, absolutely. Especially because they're going to come out,
Um,
like I said, they're going to come out dominant against the Saints. That number's going to jump. Game over. Um, but what about
oh
record?
yeah, no, and
How do you think they're going to finish?
they got a decently tough schedule outside of the division games. That always
Yeah.
helps to have a fairly weak division. So I think they rope in a 6-0 division record,
Okay.
maybe 5-1, but at least 5 wins in the division. And I am going to put them at. I would say their ceiling is 15-2, and I
Wow.
would say their I'd say their floor, barring any major injuries, would be probably 11-6. I think the worst they possibly do is 11 wins, unless somebody key gets injured.
Yeah,
And by
absolutely. I
somebody
think,
key, I mean Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, Aaron Rodgers gets injured, and we got to see what Jordan Love can do. Um, on my end,
Because
honestly, I
Devontae
think,
missed games last year, and we did fine. So
yeah, I don't think a receiver or a running back missing a game is going to be a big deal. I think one of the Smith brothers missing a game is going to be big for your defense. But besides that, I think they'll go 5-1 in the division. I think they might choke up one to the Bears or the Lions just because of shits and giggles. Um, I think they'll go 14-3. Looking at the rest of their schedule, we don't really know a lot about the Browns this season or the Ravens, and those two teams are kind of tough. And they also face the Rams, which you're hype on, and so that makes me to believe that it's going to be a tough game. But 14-3, I think they win that
yeah,
division easily. So
yeah,
going on to
just
the next, sorry,
luckily that Ram. Oh, I was gonna say, just luckily that Rams game is at Lambeau
true,
in
true. If it was
in late November in Lambeau. So
well, hey, Matthew Stafford is used to playing in the cold, so that really won't be an effect on him. The defense it might take an effect on, and the receivers, but Matthew Stafford will be in his element. He'll be Jay Chillen.
just saying, it's a little bit of a different game when it's 10 degrees and possibly snowing.
Again, a different game for everyone else except your quarterback, and that's the one who if it affects him the most, that's where you're really screwed. Um, but anyway, talking about another cold weather team in the NFC North, um, the Lions, the Detroit Lions, the worst team to play football in a long time. I think they are going to do above average this year. I don't. I think they. I don't think they'll go above 500. I think they might be right there, though. What do you think about them?
Terrible. They're gonna be terrible.
Come on, you
Just
got no
yeah,
hope.
one word to no, because dude, their coach is a grounded pound type of guy. They don't have a proven running back. Their offensive line, even with the improvements, isn't going to be great. So when you try to ground and pound it and you can't run the ball, and then you try to throw the ball, and you got Jared Goff. This is one who's throwing the ball. They're just asking for an ass beat, and they don't have any receivers. Like, who the fuck are they going to throw to? I mean, it's just they are going to be a dumpster fire.
Okay, so I don't think it is
They
appropriate to call any team a dumpster fire besides the Houston Texans. I think that is blasphemy. I think that that is the worst team in the NFL, and the that is a dumpster fire. That is a shithole. That is a shitstorm. That is everything you can think of. I think the Detroit Lions are below average. At running back, you got DeAndre Swift. I had him on my fantasy team last year. He did not do terrible. I didn't hate having him in my lineup. I was disappointed having him in my lineup, but I
is,
didn't hate having him in my lineup.
but AJ, is that your franchise running back? Is that what you want to say about your franchise running back? He was not terrible.
Well, not in a
You're like,
fantasy
oh
league
well,
win.
he wasn't terrible.
But he was a good running back. Like he was consistent. He could pick up those 3 5 yard gains. He was okay in that, but I never got those big yard runs, which you don't really need to win games in the NFL. You need that to win fantasy games. DeAndre Swift, if he can get those third and short conversions, second and short conversions, or even set them up for a 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. I mean, I think he's going to produce well. Um, Especially going against some of these defenses that they're going against. Like, for example, they're going against the Ravens defense, which I'm not really that stoked on. You got the Vikings defense in week 6, I believe. The Bengals defense in week 7. I think the running game is going to be huge in those 2 weeks, and it's going to really show that their strength. I think they are going to be a ground and pound team, and Jared Goff will capitalize on those play action passes down the field.
I'm gonna give you a number.
You gotta wait. Hold on. Before I'm done, you gotta remember
and
Jared
and
Goff
that
was
and that
just in the Super Bowl. Jared Goff was just in the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen by luck. That happens because he's good. Don't get me wrong. He had a great team behind him, a great offensive system behind him, but he still led the team. He is still the
and
part
you
of the
know how many
reason they made
points
it
you know
there.
how many points they put up in that Super Bowl?
It doesn't matter. They won. They almost
Three.
won. They almost won.
Their defense held the Patriots to 13, and they still couldn't win the game.
But the Patriots defense that season was unreal, dude. Any team, the Patriots were winning that Super Bowl.
I don't give a fuck. There's no defense in the NFL that you shouldn't be able to score more than 3 points on.
Apparently, that
I mean,
was
if,
the
if we're
team.
talking nine, if we're
The
talking
well,
nine or 10, that's a different story. But three,
dude. So then let's go back to this last Super Bowl. Kansas City should have scored so many more points than they did. So many more points, and they didn't. So what? It
yeah,
happens. They still almost won the
well,
game. Same with the Rams. I don't think we should judge Goff off that. We're not judging Mahomes any less or any more than how he played that game.
oh,
We're not judging
I
the
judge
Chiefs
Goff.
any less.
No,
The Chiefs are still the favorite to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, difference with Jared Goff is his regular season numbers too. Like it's just his career numbers on the Rams, who have been a good team while he's been on the Rams. His numbers have been suspect.
They
How do
haven't
you
been a
have
good team,
suspect
though.
numbers on a good ass team?
The Rams have
No,
not
he
been a good
was
team.
he was he was one of the three greatest weaknesses on that team, and Sean McVay knew it, and that's why he went and traded for Stafford, a quarterback who can get the job done. Because their defense can only do so much. Now their defense holding people to under 20 points a game, but if your offense is only putting up 14, 13, 12, even less, like you got problems. You got problems that you got to solve. Getting a high caliber quarterback in there was something they needed to do.
Now, don't
Now
get
the
me wrong.
Lions are stuck with Goff, and the Lions are going to be terrible. And just like the
I think
Rams scored
stuck is
3 points
a
in that
harsh
Super Bowl,
word.
I think the Lions are only going to have 3 wins this season.
3 wins. They're going to go 3-14 this
Three
season.
wins.
3-14.
Yes, I think they're going to be in the bottom 5 teams in the league. 3 wins,
Wow.
maybe 4. If I'm feeling generous, I'd give them a 4th, but I'm not, so I'm giving them 3.
Okay, what about in the division?
Division? Well, they're going to do their routine thing where they somehow beat the Bears one game. So I'll give them a 1-5 in the division. That's going to be one of their wins.
You'll give them 1-5. I'll give them 2-5 because I don't think the Vikings are that good this season. I think they'll go 4-13. I think they'll squeak out an extra win. I don't think Jared Goff is as bad as you said. I think he's going to disappoint us both. I think we're going to be wrong at the end of the season. 3-14,
You just
4-13.
said
That's
you
almost
thought you
disrespectful.
just you just said you thought they were going to finish right under 500. How is 4-13 right under 500?
I mean, it's closer than yours. I'm not stupid, but I mean, it's close to 500.
I'll give you that. It is closer than 3-14.
It's very close, much closer. So let's go to the next team, who really doesn't have a lot going on. That being the Minnesota Vikings. They're purple because they choke. They can't win a game to save their life. They can't win a playoff game to save their life. So, I mean, nothing really has changed. Kirk Cousins still there. I mean, they'll be fine, I guess. Like looking at their schedule, like obviously, I think they're going to lose every game against an NFC West team. Um, their week 2 is against the Cardinals. Week 3 is against the Seahawks. That's a rough opening schedule. Then Browns, they'll have a win at the Lions. But yeah, Vikings are going to be rough this year. Not as rough as the Lions, but what, maybe 6-9. I mean, I'm sorry, 6-11, 7-10. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know. I think they'll win a little bit more than that. I think they'll follow their team slogan, which is "We're the Minnesota Vikings, and all we do is choke. We're the Minnesota Vikings. You know that we're a joke." And the other part of that is they win some games, they make the playoffs, and they choke in the playoffs. It's
they
it's
do.
the recipe for the
They're great at
Vikings.
that. They really are.
I don't know how, but it always happens. They're gonna find a way into the playoffs, and I hate that because I hate the Vikings. Their fans suck.
Fans do suck.
I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry,
I'm
bro.
sure you're all probably pretty nice people, but still, yeah, I don't know. They seem to do that most years. They find a
Yeah,
way to squeak into the playoffs, and then they'll lose. Like
yeah, and I mean,
they
like not a knock
just
on
like
them,
any
but
other
not a good.
Minnesota sports team. Minnesota sports teams can't have nice things, just like Arizona sports teams. Minnesota, Arizona, they're simpatico with that one.
Hey,
Just
really quick on Arizona
you
sports.
cannot have nice things.
No, really quick. So Cliff Kingsbury was interviewed today and was asked about Larry Fitzgerald. Ball's in his court. The ball is in Larry's court. For all we know, he can show up the day before um, week one and be like, "Yeah, let's do it," and then game over. Game over. Cardinals win. But we'll talk about the NFC
Well,
West later. Um,
yeah.
like I said, the Vikings. I'm feeling 6-11, just because I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they're that good though. Like, and then maybe I don't know, man. The division. I'll give them two. They'll win 2 games in the division. What are you thinking?
I like them at I like them at 10-7.
Ten and
They're a
seven,
huge
respectable.
question mark, though.
Oh,
They're a
huge
huge
question
question
mark.
mark. Their defense is supposedly, supposed to be improved. And then last year was the worst defense Mike Zimmer's had since he took over 6 years with the Vikings, and he took that personally. He was pissed off about that, and so they're going to juice up their defense. I mean, supposedly they did. We'll see how that works out. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last year. That was kind of a surprise. They took a huge step back, but I
They
mean,
really did.
between Thielen, Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook, man, they got some weapons on offense. Kirk Cousins, he'll be good for a couple blown games and late in the fourth quarter and overtime. He always is.
Most
But
definitely.
I
So
expect them
ten
to
and
I'd expect
seven.
them to be better than last year.
Yeah.
But that's why I think they're a big question mark. I would put their floor at like 6 wins, like 6-11. I would put their ceiling all the way up at like 12.
Yeah, they could win 12
Because
games.
if they can stay healthy and get cooking, like they could win 12 games, man. They could challenge for the division title if they're
Yeah.
if
Well,
they're
no,
firing on all
let's not
cylinders.
get stupid here. They're not going to challenge for the divisional title. The Packers have that lineup.
I said I said could. I don't say they will.
Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you that. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's talk about probably the most disappointing team in the NFC West. The team that desperately needs not only a new coach, not only a new general manager, but a new owner, because I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over this song and dance. Um, the Bears.
Did
The
you
Bears.
say song and
Huh?
dance?
Yeah, the song and dance of,
I said
we're going to go and win a couple games and then everything's okay, but not really. And then no one gets fired. And then we draft another
I thought I
quarterback.
heard you say song.
Song? Yeah, song and dance. Oh,
I'm
I hate
sorry.
you. But I hate to
For
agree
those
with
of
you. The
y'all
Bears
wondering,
do
that
still
song
suck.
was called "The Bears Still Suck."
Yes, I got to hear that song every Sunday for 16 weeks while we were roommates in college. So that was so much fun. Love that, Noah. I want to tell you that I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. That's how I wanted to end every Sunday before I had to go to a Monday full of shitty classes.
Hey man, I can't let you forget that the Bears still suck.
Well, unfortunately, I got to agree with you now. The Bears suck. Like our defense is going to be great because that's all we can do is our defense. As you alluded to in our last show, the Bears are just not allowed to have a good quarterback. That is an NFL rule. Um, And
Yeah,
looking at their
it's a
schedule,
rule.
dude,
They can't.
no, they can't. And looking at their schedule, I just get depressed. Like we open with the Rams. Come on, dude. Aaron Donald is going to eat up Dalton or Fields or whoever the hell we have starting. Shit, we might call up the Bills and be like, "Yo, can we just get Mitch back for a game, please?" Like,
I wouldn't go that far.
well, yeah, I guess we still have Big Dick Nick on the payroll, so we could call him up, I guess, from the practice squad. Like, fuck, dude.
Third string quarterback.
Third, let's talk about that as well. NFL,
That's disrespect.
an
That is
NFL
disrespect.
winning Super Bowl quarterback. He won NFL. He won. I'm sorry, the Super Bowl
MVP, and
MVP,
not
right?
yeah, not just Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback.
He's our third string quarterback. He is our third string quarterback. And Noah, I hate that. I hate that because when we put him into our system last year, we didn't try to do anything that he did good. He ran Matt Nagy's system. Matt Nagy did not run a system that would help him whatsoever. So he was screwed. Mitch Trubisky comes in. Same thing. And Mitch Trubisky was his pet project. Like he should know the offense that Mitch Trubisky runs and try to, form the offense to your franchise quarterback. But here we are with Andy Dalton or Justin Fields starting not only, 3 years later? Like, dude, what the hell?
The Red Rocket, baby. QB1,
Like,
at
I
least
love
for the
Dalton.
start of the season.
Love Dalton. But no
The $10
offense, but
million
bro,
Red Rocket.
10 million. Dude, we spend so much money on quarterbacks. Like, we could probably afford a good wide receiver if we didn't sign all of these starting quarterbacks to be our backups. Like, and that's our problem. We don't sign a backup quarterback. We sign a starting quarterback to be our backup. And it's as if having another starting quarterback as our backup's going to help because guess what? The Bears still fucking suck. We don't have any receivers to throw to. We don't have a running back. We don't like our defense is the only thing to write home about. And it's just because Khalil Mack is still there.
Well, and quick throwback to last offseason when they had a chance, they could have gone after Jameis Winston, but instead they decided to go after Nick Foles. Like,
I will
like
give
y'all
them a
could have had
pass.
Jameis.
I'll give them a pass on that because Jameis Winston did not perform. And it's a very much, what have you done for me lately?
Jameis Winston, he didn't
And
play.
Jameis
He was
Winston had
Drew
done
Brees'
nothing.
backup.
He was, but still, the season before where he was a starter and he still played like shit, like that still was on his record and everything. I don't blame them for not signing him. I honestly probably would have been more pissed off that they signed Winston over Foles, but they didn't even give Foles a fair shot. That he was running a Mitch Trubisky offense that wasn't even Mitch Trubisky's offense. It was what Matt Nagy wanted to run, but he hasn't been able to find a quarterback that can run that system. So that makes me believe that this system doesn't work in the NFL.
That may be it. I mean, or they just haven't had anybody who can run it well. I mean,
Well, we've
I
been
don't know.
through three starting quarterbacks in the last two seasons, so maybe number 4 and 5 will be our solution. But honest to God, I'm going to be so upset because I think, like looking at their schedule, I think the Bears will be under 500. Like I think they might squeak out 6, 7 wins, but I think if they win 8, 9 wins, that means that Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's job is safe, and I can't stand for that. Like I hate to be that person, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
root against the Bears this season because I don't want them in our building anymore because they're just poison, dude.
their over unders at 7.5, which I think is probably fair.
I would stay away from that
I
line,
yeah,
but I would take the under.
I don't know. I was just gonna say with Dalton, he's only the second $10 million ginger quarterback you guys have tried. So we'll see if this works out any better than Mike Glennon when y'all signed
Yeah.
him to a 3-year, like $35 million deal. That was ridiculous. That worked out well.
Yeah, no, it worked out real well. Real well. Let's be real. We could do a whole show on just all the Bears quarterbacks that suck, but we really don't have time for that. Um, Bears over under. I'm sorry, total wins for the season. What do you have in that?
Um, let's see. I like them to win 5 or 6.
5 or
I think
6?
last year because of the start was a bit of a fluke. I think the floor for them, I think the absolute worst, is going to be pretty low. I'd put their floor at 4 wins.
Yeah, I think that's the
Now,
absolute
I
worst.
I I could
They
see
do
them
still
picking up
play.
some fluky. I
Sorry,
could see
go
them
ahead.
picking up some fluky wins, and I'm gonna put their ceiling at 8 and 9. I think their best case scenario they're right under 500. And I could
Yeah, and
totally
I
see that
mean,
happening because the Bears are going to do the Bears and they're going to get themselves a not very good draft pick, but still not have a good season.
bro, and that was what upset me last season. Like, and you can vouch for me. I said we were the worst 5-0 team in the history of the NFL. I did not think that we were a good football team whatsoever. We got lucky when we went on that run, and I'm just not excited for Bears football whatsoever. I think they'll win 5 games. I think five's generous. And I'm only saying that because we play the Vikings twice, the Lions twice, and the Bengals once. So maybe. But, it's one of those things where it sucks to watch your team and want to root against your team so we can get a shitty coach and GM out. But if that's what I have to do this season, that's what I have to do this season.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, it's definitely still the Packers division to
Yeah.
win or to lose, rather, like it has been for the last 20 years. You know, some years somebody gets lucky and takes it from them, but you know, we're uh, we're ready to watch the Packers have another good 3 loss ish season,
Yeah. No,
and then
absolutely.
we'll see if they can make it past the NFC Championship game for once.
And just in case anyone is curious on FanDuel, the Green Bay Packers are minus 155 to win the division, with the Vikings plus 260 behind them, the Bears at plus 460, and the Lions at plus 2,500. Jesus, that is a
See,
ride for
FanDuel
the
agrees with
Lions.
me. The Lions are a dumpster fire, man.
Yeah, I mean, only can hope they get better because it'll make the division better and make Packers wins mean more, but we'll see how it goes. Bears at plus
Yeah, I
460.
mean,
That's, I think, is a little.
terrible.
That's, yeah.
Not
Excuse
taking
me.
that.
That should be
I
at
would never
least.
bet money on the Bears to win the division.
No, never, 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 never. Unless
We're
Rodgers
halfway
wasn't
through the
gonna.
season and they got. I was gonna say if we're halfway through the season and they're like 7-1, I still probably wouldn't. But
No, I'd fade him. I'd fade him. Bears ain't gonna do that well. And it's. I hate saying that as a Bears fan. I hate saying that, but it's the truth. They're just not a good football team. Like, yeah, they're the team that you want to do really well, but they're not. They're like, how do I say this? They're they're the Flint Tropic Thunder. You know what I mean? You really want them to do well. They might win the Michigan Super Bowl every once in a while, but they're not going to win the whole thing. They're not going to get taken to the NBA.
the
They're
Michigan Super Bowl, which is just the Bears and the Lions, which they split every year. There's
Michigan's not
never
going
a
to.
winner because the Bears are always better, but still find a way to lose a game.
It's amazing. It's really more amazing than anything Chris Angel or David Blaine can do. Like, we will lose against the shittiest team in the division once a year. It's amazing. I really can't believe it. But Noah, with training camp
Hell yeah.
starting today, is there anything you're looking out for? Any teams you're looking at? Anything that you're specifically looking for out of any teams during training camp?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I just not necessarily out of training camp going into the season. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Steelers based on how they finished last season. Seeing Big Ben, or as I'd like to refer to him now, medium large Ben, come into training camp.
Dude, you look
I mean,
good.
that dude's down in weight to about what he was in college. So watch out for the Steelers to, I guess, surprise a lot of people given where their expectations are. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see how training camp pans out. I'm excited for the season. I mean, have been for since the season ended.
As we all have been. Um, at a training camp, honestly, I'm looking at the 49ers. Shanahan came out today and said that Jimmy G is going to be the starter, but that all could change within the next couple weeks. Trey Lance, I mean, that could be his wet dream, because running that Shanahan offense, like he obviously isn't a fan of the way Jimmy G can play. So if he can insert him week one, excuse me, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever.
Yeah, well, Belichick wasn't a fan of how Jimmy G played, and that's why they got rid of him.
No, no, Belichick was a fan of how Jimmy G played. Tom Brady wasn't a fan of that. He was just as good looking as him, and that's why he got sent to the Niners.
Tom Brady didn't like that Jimmy G was sexier than he was. Tom Brady couldn't handle being the second sexiest quarterback in the NFL, so he was like, well, third, I guess. I mean, Fitzmagic number one, obviously.
Fitzmagic number one. Whoa. So Fitzmagic number one, Minshew number two, Brady number three, Jimmy G number four.
Minshew he's an attractive man.
Hey. So let's talk
That
about this real
mustache.
quick. Did you see the quote that he put out the other day?
Yeah, he
Bro,
said he hasn't
he
been
is
shitting because
not
he's got
going to
no
be
time
second
for
to Trevor
number
Lawrence.
twos.
He is not going to be second to Trevor Lawrence. He is so dedicated to not being second to Trevor Lawrence. This man hasn't taken a shit because number two is not an option. What a fucking legend. I love this man. Give him the starting job. Fuck Trevor Lawrence. He needs to go win a Super Bowl. He's ready to win a Super Bowl.
Unfortunately, the reality of it, I think, with how all the hype behind Trevor Lawrence, is Trevor's going to either have to get injured or he's going to have to tank for 6 or 8 weeks straight for Urban Meyer to even think about putting Minshew in his starter. Even though I do think that quarterback battle should have been open the entire time. There's no need to. I mean, I guess
I think
there's
it is
pressure
open.
to start.
Urban Meyer hasn't come out and said
Uh,
that Lawrence is his quarterback. That's just media speculation. I think it's quote unquote open. I think there's a solid chance
he's
that Minshew starts over Lawrence. I understand that Lawrence has been the number one prospect since he came out of the womb, but at the same time, the NFL is so much different than college, and we have seen that with so many different prospects that were supposed to transfer over and just be ready to go. I think that same
they're
thing is
not
going to happen
they're
to
not.
Trevor Lawrence.
He will not be the backup week one. I'm telling you that.
He might though. Minshew ain't taking a
You do
shit.
not you do not put a quarterback drafted number one overall on your bench to start the season.
I think you do when you have a man willing not to take a shit to get the starting job, especially with a mullet
I mean,
like that. What a
don't
flow.
don't get me wrong. I'd love to see it because I love Minshew. I was always behind the Minshew mania when that started. That was great. I love the cutoff jean shorts and the
Love
tank
it.
tops and the mustache. It's just the
Love it.
whole look.
It's
What a
amazing. We'll
guy.
see what they do
What a
though.
guy.
We will get to the Jaguars eventually on our division recaps. Noah and I both have the Packers winning the NFC North. I think that's kind of a no-brainer, especially with Rodgers and
Who
Cobb
do,
coming in.
who do you have second then?
Second, I think I have the Vikings. Yes, I do have the Vikings. I have the Vikings second, Bears
Okay.
third, Lions fourth.
I'm not. Yeah, that's how I got him ranked too.
Yeah, I mean, NFC North, unfortunately, is pretty little straightforward because the Packers are the powerhouse, and the rest of the teams in the division just don't know what's going on. They have no idea. And so it'll be another disappointing for my Bears, but luckily the Cardinals are looking good, even though Chandler Jones might not be on the team. But luckily, regardless, he just asked for a trade. The Cardinals can tell him to F off, and then we can still have Chandler Jones and JJ Watt on opposite ends for one season, which is all I'm asking for. Noah, anything before we sign off?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, Xavier Howard on the Dolphins, after coming off a huge season with I think 9 interceptions, he's formally requested a trade.
True.
So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And then we
Yeah,
got
that's
the
huge.
NBA draft coming up on Thursday, so I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
we'll
big.
have. I'm sure we will have updates, and we'll be talking about that after that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And follow us on Twitter for our thoughts on the NBA draft and all things happening with training camp. Um, and with that being said, thank you all for listening, and we will be back soon with another episode. Have a great night, DJs, and have a good week.